Follows on from the first video, which showed the line being drawn, so you could actually rotate a line by any angle. This video is actually for a square. I've done the code already. I'll show you an example of how it all works, how it all looks, and then go through the code, how it actually does the job it's doing. So as you can see, we've got ourselves a square. I've got a line showing the actual line at the angle that the square is currently facing. As I rotate the square around, you can see that the square and the line all rotate together. It's pretty straightforward to actually do this. I've created a new class for this, and you'll see as I go through the class that the complexity is really based on making sure that your angles are correct all the way through. So what I've done first of all, if I just show you the changes I've made in the form itself, all I've had to do is add in drawing a square called Rotatable Square, which is a new object, and actually sending it the screen so that it can actually draw it. So the majority of the work that you're going to need to do is actually in the new the new class called Rotatable Square. First of all, I've got three different variables that are all called angle, just to be really confusing. Angle with a lowercase a is the actual angle that the square is currently facing. Angle 2 is an internal variable just being used to store a value. And this double angle is actually what's called a getSet variable, so it's a virtual variable which changes the value of angle 2. So as you set angle, it looks at the value that you set it and makes sure it does all the calculations to make sure it's between 0 and 359 degrees. The middle point of the square is this centre point, and the square size, this measurement is actually from diagonal to diagonal rather than the actual size of the lengths. So if you write 60 pixels there, it won't be a 60 pixel by 60 pixel square. At present, that's being used as a centre point to corner measurement instead. So all I need to do, first of all, I've put in my degrees to radian calculation as I did before, and my sine and cosine, and you can see each of these works on the angle, and the length is the square size divided by 2, so it's from the midpoint of the square through to the actual corner. I've then created these 4 special offset points: top left of the square, top right, bottom left and bottom right. And you can see that actually each one of these is very similar to the calculation already done for the end point that we did in the previous video. All we have to do is actually update the actual angle to being the current angle being faced, and then an offset based on each of the corners. So the first corner, top left, is 45 degrees before the angle of offset. The top right corner is 45 degrees as well as the angle of the offset, and so on. And that's the reason why this capital A angle piece of code is written as a getSet variable to do the calculation as part of it, to make it nice and easy. I've also put in a line point where literally I'm just going to draw a line that shows the current angle that we are facing. As you can see, angle equals angle. And again, that's using the square size, so you can see a difference. The fact that this line is longer than the width shows that if the box was actually 60 pixels by 60 pixels, this line would just literally touch the top line of the square. So that's actually everything you need to do, other than then draw the line. And to draw the line, we're going to draw something called a polygon, where we actually specify all the different points that we want to draw. And to join up all the lines, we actually need 5 points. So we start with the top left, draw a line to top right, bottom left, and then back to top left again. So it draws the square and actually joins it up. So that's from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, even though that's the same point. And I'm also then drawing my line point as well. I'm past the graphics object, because then in my form, as you can see there, square.drawSquare, I actually pass it the form as my graphics object to actually show. I've also updated the form so that the angle that I'm drawing is square.angle, the public variable, and I've done the same with the pressing the plus and minus buttons, the left and right arrow keys, is updating the increase angle and decrease angle on the square rather than the one on the form. But apart from that, that is actually the only changes to the code you need to make in order to get it working. So create a rotatable square class and create an instance of it on the form, draw it onto the form, and all the rest of the code is actually within the class rotatable square itself.